So we've already talked about triads on the top three strings. So for example, with A, we have that, for example, these three. And an exercise that can help with improvising on these, I don't know if you know about this, but I believe I added a conversation with my student Daniel where we're talking about improvising with triads. And so this is just like, this isn't really answering your question. I'm going to answer it in a second, but this is just a thing that you can do. So as you're practicing improvising in all these positions, you know, you can also use triads and like arpeggiate triads as a way to like create new lines and stuff. And that'll also help you think more like laterally. And that's the benefit of improvising across one string at a time, is that it forces you to connect all the positions and really see them all like more and more as just like one piece of information. So yeah, so that's just a thing. There's like a video where I'm working on this with Daniel. It's from one of the group calls, and my student Tamar is also there, I believe. And yeah, we're just like talking about improvising with this, and then improvising only with the A major scale on the high E string, but then throwing in these triad shapes and like playing the D triad shapes over the D chord and stuff. So anyway, that's a thing that exists and can be a really cool generative strategy for improvisation too. But to answer your question about triads in other positions on the fretboard. Okay. So, yeah, this is a really good question, and it's cool that you're familiar enough with these triad shapes already that you're looking for more stuff. So, I'll also say before I start to really get into this spiel, and it's not a super long spiel, but I just want to give a couple asterisks up front. I'm only talking about major triads here, but doing something like minor triads, they're like very simple modifications from the major triads, and it's still good to practice them independently. But one of my goals with this was to not be like, here's everything everything that there is possible. Like I didn't want it to be like an encyclopedia of guitar information. I wanted it to be like very like applicable. So I'll just start with major triads, and then all of this you can pretty easily map to minor triads. And
Yeah,
we're down to oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, mentally that's kind of how I like think it out anyway, is just like everything relative to the major triad, so that like totally works. And I feel like it's better too to be like, because then you're like more aware of like, this is the third, like, you know,
exactly,
like lower the third to make the, and then you can like reverse engineer ones that you haven't practiced versus just like memorizing them. So
totally. Okay, and so related to that, the third, because like all triads are like 1, 3, 5, like by definition, right? Okay, so basically, what we're doing when we're playing them on these top three strings is we're playing like three different inversions. We've got root position, first inversion, second inversion. And do you know what I mean by that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So the second inversion would be third on the bottom. Or first inversion would be third on the bottom, and second inversion is fifth on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So then basically those are the only options that exist for triads, like on their own, before we try to apply them to the guitar. So then from there, we can basically think in terms of like string sets. So we have like adjacent string sets, meaning all the strings are next to each other, and then we have other string sets where there might be some irregular spacing or something like that. Yeah. So just starting with adjacent string sets, basically, I like starting with the top three string sets because you can so directly connect them to major bar chords, you know. But actually, I think we can do that on the next string set down too. So basically, if we were to look at major triads on the string set D, G, B, the one that we get from this A bar chord, this would just be a second inversion. Yeah, and then this one is like a first inversion. Yeah, and then this would be this would be a root position, and then this one would be a first inversion.
Where's...
Yeah, and this is related to this
out of the C.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so then the same thing kind of exists on the next lowest string set. So this would be the first one that we find if we're just starting from the open strings. As this is kind of like if we were to try to play like a G bar chord, you know, or like a G shape on the... Yeah. So we have 3, 5, 1, and then over here we've got 5, 1, 3.
Oh.
Yeah. And then we get our classic root position shape.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so these are...
Yeah. Okay. And then we can do the same thing for the lowest 3 strings. They're going to be a little bit less obviously related, maybe, to the like bar chords and stuff, but do you have any guesses as to what those are? And if so, can we tilt your camera so that I can see what your guess is? Awesome. Yeah.
Like, would it be...
Mm-hmm. You got that one? Yep.
And then... this guy?
Yep.
And then this A. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are all of our A triads on adjacent strings below the 12th fret, I believe. I think that's everything as far as I can tell. I feel like it's such a big category that I'm worried that I'm missing something, but I'm like pretty much 100% sure that that's all the triad combinations, or all the positions for, you know, like a closed position A triad. And by closed position, I just mean like all the notes are as close together as they can be. So there's no weird like octave displacement or anything like that. Yeah. And so getting into triads that are split across string sets can be very, like, it can be a cool way to do things that sound very guitaristic, like, you know, like 1, 1, 5, 3, like a big one like this, you know. So this would be, it's like I'm just basically pulling this from this big A bar chord shape.
Yeah.
And so all of that stuff, oh yeah, I'll let you find it before I continue the spiel. Okay, yeah, you got it. Okay, so that stuff can be useful, but I think in terms of like having the goal being really being able to apply things in real time so that you can just have it come up when you're making music in a really effortless way, as opposed to more sort of like a flipping through the pages of the encyclopedia to find the right chord kind of way. What I'd recommend doing, well, do you have any guesses as to how I would recommend internalizing these?
Would it be over like the I real B backing chords
and just improvising with them? Yeah. And then once you're improvising with them, you can divide things up by string set. You can divide things up by region of the fretboard. And then you can also practice A going to D. So you can also practice D triads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that's a way to start really, just like getting into the world of triads, like across the full fretboard in an applied way.